What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Lore King. I'm gonna be posting podcasts and vlogs on this channel about mental health. So if you're a psychiatrist or a therapist or even a patient who is interested in psychology, specifically like your own psychology and how to make good decisions, like who am I to tell like a therapist or a psychiatrist? But I've been in the mental health industry, as a patient, as someone who studies the vocabulary and, the chemistry. I don't know everything about health and all that stuff, but I do have my own kind of way of thinking. And obviously, like, I make pretty good decisions in my life. And I think that's ultimately the goal of mental health, is to make good decisions, right? And and if we look at economics and what it means, economics means the sociological study of human decision making. It's literally a branch of sociology, and which is a branch of psychology. um, so economics is almost like a political thing. It's not really politics in the same kind of room or same, but they're neighbors, and I have to keep checking my camera to make sure that I'm recording, because this is like the third video that I'm making because my camera turned off. But um, what's it called? I'm gonna be making vlogs or kind of like podcasts where I'm just chilling in my car talking, because there are there are certain instances when I'm working on my project, Lorenz Motors, my drone car company, where I have like a downtime or like I lose motivation, and it's kind of like a writer's block. And the best way to deal with writer's block is to talk about the writer's block. So I'm using this channel as a podcast to vent my frustrations and my negativity, and that's why I said psychiatrist or therapist, because hopefully you guys can like help like diagnose the problem or troubleshoot it, and help encourage me or tell me what to do. So that's kind of like my target audience, and I'm using this as a platform to hopefully like land on some really good psychiatrist page or some psychologist who is able to tell me like, hey, like, you should do this and this, to be able to move forward with your project. I'll link the project down below. It's lorenzmotors.com. I work on bringing the future of personal air travel into society. So like, um, I design passenger drones and personal air vehicles, and I have to keep checking to make sure that my camera is still going. But and I should probably keep it over here so it doesn't overheat in the sun. But and I should probably tilt this down so I don't have to keep. Actually, that's so cool. Look, I like tilted it down. You can't really see, but so now that's my solution. So like, I guess this is landing on the right people's page because I'm getting like all the answers through quantum physics and quantum mechanics, and it's just teleporting here. And see, that's where kind of like my schizophrenia comes from, because I am diagnosed with schizoaffective. So I obviously am a high functioning schizoaffective person who, I'm able to have a goal, and I'm very creative. And obviously, if you look at my website, I'm like a genius, right? And this is kind of like um, the anomaly of geniuses and people who have mental health problems, is that usually they are very creative and they really do know how to solve certain problems because they have a certain perspective other people don't. And so, um, the only problem is that I go off in tangents and then I forget like what I was talking about. But it's so interesting anyway that I usually just keep going and I don't really care about like where I was at before. And then usually I come full circle, and you'll see that will happen a lot. But as long as I just keep going and allow myself to keep talking about what I'm talking about, usually the dots end up connecting, even though like they, go scatterbrain. And I think it's just like the neural pathways in my mind just take a really interesting route, because usually things are really boring, and there's a lot of reasons for the reason why I am. But you're probably wondering, like, tell me more about the schizoaffective disorder. You don't look schizoaffective. You know, you usually people who actually, I probably do look schizoaffective, but I don't really know. Like, usually, I think, in my opinion, from what I understand, not really my opinion, I think these are based on facts, but typically, schizophrenia people have, you know, hallucinations and auditory hallucinations where they hear things that, and I'm just gonna look this way because I'd rather just not look you in the eye, because I don't know, like, eventually, like, I'll be able to, but right now I'm like looking at something in my head and this is distracting. I know how to look people in the eye. I'm not like autistic or anything. It's just that I have like a very interesting like path right now that I need to kind of explore, and I'm trying to say, like, schizophrenia people usually have auditory and visual hallucinations that distract them from being able to talk, right? I think that's I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Like, I've seen YouTube channels and YouTube videos of people, of patients who you know, self not really self-diagnosed, they've been clinically diagnosed as schizophrenia people, and they'll be talking like, and then you can like very clearly see that they're distracted by something. I have that to a degree, but I'm so like badass and hardcore about like my mind and shit that like I'm able to kind of manhandle all of the thoughts, and it's obviously like not working to the point where like I'm not scatterbrained, and there's certain things where I, you know, go off in tangents and stuff, so it's not like I'm perfect and I'm like the most strong mentally person, but I don't know. What do you think my diagnosis is, doctor? Like, are you know what I mean? Like, hopefully this is getting onto doctors' pages, because I actually do need help, like, trying to figure out who I am as a person and like what my diagnosis is, because obviously I'm making really interesting decisions. Especially, you know, I bring up Lorenz Motors a lot, and I'll link it down below, if you want to like kind of diagnose my creativity into a certain way. Like, what is it? Hyper focus? Is it something that's like, you know, something else? Like, I don't know, where is it coming from? Why am I the way I am? Like, I have so many questions, and I'm trying to kind of say, like, I don't know if I said this in the previous 2 videos that I made or if I mentioned this already, but to me, and when I was in the hospital recently, because I had an episode, because I was taking shrooms for depression, because I thought that's what it was, and I was trying to self-diagnose and self-medicate, and the Depakote that they had me on before, like, it was too strong and it was like doling me out. But I'm trying to kind of heal myself, and I'm now like recognizing that there's a problem. And when I was in the hospital before, they were asking me like, hey, like, what are your goals for mental health? And I asked them back. I was like, well, how do you define mental health? You know, and obviously it has to do with your brain and your neural circuitry and the electrical impulses between your neurotransmitters and how everything's functioning. Are you happy? Which decisions are you making? Are you neurotic? Are you psychotic? Are you making, but ultimately it comes down to economics. Like, I don't know if I said this already in this video, but economics is the sociological study of human decision making. And we measure these decisions with money. So, like, obviously you want more money, right? And that's why we want money. And that's why we're attracted to people who have money. That's why we want money ourselves. It's because it shows that we have strong mental health. Just like we want a nice body to show that, you know, we have good physical health, money is a sign of strong mental health. So the goal, when she asked me, she was like, you know, what's your goal with your mental health? I told her, after I asked her, you know, kind of not really, I was just kind of like trying to, because she's probably used to people just answering the question right away, but I was actually trying to have a dialogue, and I was really interested in what she asked me. And I was like, well, what's your definition of mental health? And I already have my own definition, but I wanted to see what she said. And she was like, you know what? I don't really know. And no one's really ever asked me that question. Meanwhile, she like went to school for this and stuff, and she's never like philosophized about it, which I found very interesting. That like there's obvious faults in the mental health industry, which is like another part of this channel is I'm trying to make the world a better place by being more discussive of mental health. And like I said, when I feel down with my project, I'm gonna come vent over here to like vent all my negativity and frustration into you, because I feel like it's your fault and like something's blocking me, and I have like writer's block, and the best way to deal with writer's block is by talking about it. So I'm just gonna use this channel as like a podcast to talk about, like, use you as a therapy session where I'm just allowed to come on here and just talk the way I would talk to my therapist and my psychiatrist. And by the way, they think I'm very interesting, which is why I think this channel is going to succeed. But yeah, economics is the sociological study of human decision making. So when we were talking about mental health in the hospital, I was like, what's your definition? And she said she never really thought about it too much. And I was like, well, I think it has something to do with our decisions. Because our decisions are based on are measured. They're not based on money, but they're measured by money. So if we make good decisions, we're gonna have more money, right? Like, there's obviously like sacrifices that come into play, but like the stronger you are mentally, obviously like the more wealth becomes attracted to you, because people are like, oh, that guy's making really good, like, fruitful decisions, let's give him give him more of our resources so that the society can benefit. Essentially, I think that's what mental health is, and I think that's kind of like the mission of this podcast, of this vlog, of this channel, is to just keep talking about it. You're probably wondering, why is my name Lurking? And I don't know if I introduced myself. My name is Lurking, okay? It's like that evil side of me that like comes out to be negative and shit, and I need to be dealt with, and this kid is a really good person right here, but it's almost like it's not him talking, it's like some demon inside that is like trying to like fuck him up, you know what I mean? So can you guys please like not kill me, but like heal me, like whoever's watching. And this is like the funny part. It's it's obviously me, but I'm kind of like reenacting, kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like it's me, but it's not me, and I'm trying to act out. Sometimes, like, literally I'll do this and this is usually when I end up back in a hospital, which is why I had to like cut that out, because like I'll be in my room and I'll start, it's usually when I'm on mushrooms or something, where I start thinking that people are teleporting into my brain, like with these things called neos. And these I call them neos because of like the neocortex, and I believe that my schizophrenic brain believes that neos can like quantum mechanically teleport themselves into other people's brains, gather information, and come back and like give you intelligence about what's going on. And I think this is just the like what the fuck, that's the Polish word for episode. That's like the episode that just plays in my head that like tells me what's happening based on the thoughts that I'm having. When I kind of when I critique it, when it tells me things, this is what it tells me. It's like, oh, well, like, how do I know this is true? Oh, it's because like I just teleported over there and they told me. You know what I mean? Like, oh, how do you know my friend is saying this stuff right now? And you know how sometimes we get the feeling someone's talking about us, and then like it sometimes ends up being true, because like you think something and then you hang out with them and then they say exactly what you were thinking. And then it's like, and then like after a while, after that happens a few times, you kind of just start, and I'll get into solipsism eventually down the line. But you hang out with this person and they kind of like go, you know what I mean? Like, and then that kind of leads into like a whole bunch of different delusions. Like solipsism, I think, is a delusion because obviously other people are conscious, right? Like, you can only experience your own consciousness, but I think it's healthier to believe other people are conscious as well, because then you're gonna just start doing random shit in your room alone, and it becomes very hyper focused on like only you, and you can't even imagine or empathize about other people. So you start creating like these stories, not episodes, stories about like what life is, but it just becomes something that's not true. So you end up in a hospital to be corrected, to be more aligned with reality. And it's like these lies that you tell these delusions, I said lies, but they are delusions where you actually think they're real, but they're not. And I think that's where my schizophrenia comes from, is like I'll try to like figure out why my brain is telling me a certain thing I know not to be true, and I try to like justify it with like physics and shit, and it ends up like kind of fucking me up. And I think that's why I also started Lorenz Motors, because like me trying to justify these delusions, I became really smart with like physics and shit, which is why like I created Lorenz Motors, is because I'm actually pretty smart when it comes to physics in particular. So I know, and just my obsession with cars, especially race cars and nice luxury cars, I decided to kind of use my, I don't know, the point I'm trying to make is like, the point of mental health is to make good decisions, and I hope that I can over time make better decisions with YouTube. With YouTube being my if I'm making vlogs for YouTube, and the point of vlogs is to get views, right? Like, everybody just wants more views and more money and more resources to keep doing the channel. And over time I think I'll just keep making better vlogs, better decisions, and this channel will blow up. So that's my goal, is to just like be a patient. I know that sounds weird, like, but I'm sure my target audience out there exists, like nurses, psychologists, psychiatrists, neuroscientists, even other patients. Like, not really other patients, because other patients, they might I don't know, depend on me too much. Like, I want to be the hero of this story. I'm already the guide on Lorenz Motors. As a guide on Lorenz Motors, I'm a guide. In marketing, the company is the guide, and then the customer is the hero. And when you're selling a story, you want to make sure that the person who you're selling to is the hero, and then the company or the product is the guide. The company is the guide, and the product is the solution. So on this channel, I want to be the hero, okay? On my other channel, I want to be the guide, and I just need better mental health to be able to continue being a good guide. I've been doing really well, go check it out. Go check out the other channel. I'll link it down below. But sometimes I just need to come on here and talk, because like I can't always be positive. That's just the struggle I deal with. And I would love to, go out and like make a cool vlog, but honestly, I'd rather just sit here and talk to my car for an hour, because sometimes I feel like that's just what I need to do, And I was thinking, like, can I post this on Lorenz Motors? And luckily I have a second channel with a bunch of subscribers, so I don't have to post it on Lorenz Motors, because like and even if I didn't have the other one, I would probably start a new channel and build my audience that way. But I find myself like eventually like doing interviews with people and having podcasts and different like people on the podcast and like talking about mental, like, you know, like bringing someone in a car and just like talking about, you know, my friend's mental health and stuff like that. My hair, like, obviously, like, the thing, like, I look really bad right now too. I'm like scruffy. My facial hair needs to get shaven. Like, I don't really care about my appearance too much. um I hope that I can just become like a better person, you know. And yeah, I'm unfortunately, like, I feel like I'll have to eventually become the guide, you know, to have a successful career on this platform for this channel. But I don't really care about views and stuff too much. Like, for this channel in particular, this is kind of just my way to vent, and if it blows up, it blows up type of thing. Like, I'm not really here to entertain you. I'm just here to be myself and like not really bring a certain type of audience. I'm here to attract the person who's still watching the whole thing. Like, I need more of that. You know what I mean? I'm not about to like switch gears and talk. You know, if there's two people watching and one person's like in my head trying to tell me like, oh, you should do this, and they're like yelling at their screen or asking questions and like being negative towards me, there's another person equally watching right now, like just like really interested, like no matter what. And then like this, and then if I listen to the person, and this is all just happening in my head, if I listen to the person who's like, oh, go like do something interesting, you know, then my whole life is on this channel is gonna be appeasing to like that guy that or that girl who's telling me to do something interesting, rather than the person who's just sitting here and being like, interesting, and already, you know, by the things that I'm saying. So I'd much rather appeal to the person who just thinks I'm interesting right now and who doesn't need me to go out, even if it's like a much lesser audience and there's fewer numbers involved. I'd rather just stick here and just be myself here and just like not really, you know, do those interesting things unless it comes down to it, and like eventually like I start running out of things to say. But for the most part, this channel is just going to be about me venting and talking about talking the way I would to a therapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist, just talking about like my life and like how things are going and how and mainly about Lorenz Motors, because Lorenz Motors is my project, is like my baby. It's the project I'm working on. It's when I feel, you know, happy and motivated. That's where my energy goes into, because it's like changing the world, and I feel like a Steve Jobs or something who sees something that most people don't see, you know. And I'm not really gonna get into the like the problems that go into Lorenz Motors, maybe in the future vlog. But I'm just trying to say, like, I am like that, like a Steve Jobs or like a CEO of a big company who sees a vision and like is trying to use the internet to make it reality. Because in the past, like Steve Jobs, for example, didn't have the internet. You know, he built the internet. He built computers. But if he was alive today, he would be using everything he created, all of the technology, all the phones, all the microphones, all the stands, all the car, like he would just be using everything to create companies via the internet. And that's kind of what I'm doing with Lorenz Motors, is like I'm just bringing an audience the way I want to bring it. Like some people, like in my head, I can just like envision certain people just so mad at me, like, you'll never be able to build a company that way. That's not how companies have been built in the past. That's not gonna work. You can't do it that way. You know, like stuff like that. It's like, we live in a different world now. We live in a society where we have internet and we have technologies that didn't exist in the past. Like, look at the big companies right now. Who are the big companies? Google, Microsoft, Apple. You know what I mean? Like, these are companies that built the internet, and there's no companies right now that are big in the top 10 that are built on the internet using the technologies of these companies. So I'm actually one of the first companies that's utilizing the internet to build a product like strictly on the internet, if that makes sense. Like, I want to emphasize that point so much because I want to like punch that person in the face who was like telling me that I can't do it this way, because you very fucking clearly can do it that way, my guy. Like, you really can. I can hire people on Fiverr to do my manufacturing. I could like go on Upwork and hire people. You don't need to like network in real life. You can like make a video and send it to them now, and it's like, there you go. That's, you used to have to go to their physical store and like talk to them. Now you can just like email them or hit them up on LinkedIn, and like things are just done differently now. And like people who think that like things have to work a certain way based on like past principles just aren't really thinking about building a company in the current state of the economy, because they're too busy like being negative and telling themselves that you can't do it that way, when in fact you can do it, and they're just telling themselves you can't. So it's like watch me try. At least you'll learn something if I fail, right? So it's like, I think that's ultimately what's stressing me out, is that like every time I go to fucking do it, there's just a roadblock in the people around me who are like, no, you can't fucking do it that way. It's not gonna work. Like, it's gonna take forever. Like, it's gonna work. This is just the normal amount of time that it's taking. Like, this is how it's gonna work. If we're doing it this way now, this is just the amount of time it takes. The amount of time you're experiencing is the amount of effort it takes. Like, it doesn't just happen overnight, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. And then I hear people in my head that are like, all right, stop talking. Like, all right, you made your point, but it's like, no, I want to like shove it in your face. I want to like just keep like being aggressive the way you're being aggressive towards me, because like you're standing in my way. I don't know who it is. It's like people I know. I don't want to call them out, but it's like they're in my head. Like, all right, calm down, Peter. All right, calm down. Like, you made your point. Like, no, I didn't make my point, because every time I go to do it, it's like they just like show up again. And it's like I keep dealing with the same energies, and it's like, this is my only solution to that, is by venting to hopefully people who agree with me, or like people who understand what I'm trying to say. And obviously there's critiques, but I've listened to the critiques forever, and they just keep impeding me, and I'm like stuck in my basement, like not doing anything and being unmotivated. And thank goodness for like the mental health industry and like the medications and stuff, because it's actually like helping me get out of my house and like vent and like find solutions, healthy solutions, and I'm able to talk, and like, I don't know, I'm just much more stable and stuff. And obviously I'm like calm and stuff, but like I'm just really aggressive about like the people who, I don't know, just don't have strong mental health. And like all they need to do is just go watch like YouTube, people who are actually succeeding, because a lot of YouTubers will preach like positivity and happiness and like abundance, especially abundance, because there's people out there who just like give up. They see a problem and they're just like, oh, it will never work, and they like leech everyone else down too. They'll be like, no guys, it's not gonna work, like just don't try, no, like just don't, like, bitch, like shut the fuck up, like just hack away at it. You ever heard of like hackers? People who hack? And I'm not talking about like, actually I am talking, like computer scientists who like hack into NASA and like databases and stuff. The term hacking comes from like literally a hack, a tree hack, like a wooden hatchet, and you just keep hacking away at the tree until it falls down. And it's obviously like gonna take time. Like first you have to find a hatchet, then you need to like sharpen it, then you need to like start hitting it 1,000 times or maybe 2,000 times, and if 2,000 times doesn't work, then you have to hit it 3,000 times until it eventually falls down. And like I know that, but like a lot of people don't, and they just like are so discouraging. They're just like, shut up, he won't shut up about his project, like it's never gonna work, like who does he think he is, do you know how much money it takes, like if you build it they will come. Like there's so many like counter arguments to what they're saying. They just never explore the other options. They never like go to like see like, what if I figure out a way instead of being a complaining little bitch? You know, it's like there are obvious ways around these problems, but like no, like you give up. You want to go do something, you want to go smoke pot, or you want to go drink alcohol, or you want to go party. It's like, why are you doing these things if like, I don't know, you claim you want to be rich and you want to a nice house and you want a nice car and you want a family and you want a good job, but when it comes to actually like getting there, like building something meaningful and solving actual problems, not just like dilly-dallying at work and like just going through the motions, like you don't know how to like, you have no grit, you have no perseverance, you have no like enthusiasm for life, there's no happiness in you. Like go read a book, go watch a Netflix documentary about like the problem you have, like talk about the problem you're having, like discuss it, write it down, Google some shit, like define stuff, read about it, like what is it called when I'm being a little bitch, like Google that and then read about what comes up, like literally the first hit. You know, there's ways around things. It's just, I don't know, like some people just, they don't, they're stuck in their ways, and they're just like, they're traumatized by something and they just like won't try again. There's a study, there's so many studies that I can quote right now, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I know what I'm thinking, like I can visualize it, the thing I'm thinking. I just don't even know how to verbalize it right now. But yeah, hopefully that made sense. I'm gonna be making these vlogs so much more because I'm gonna come here to vent. You know, I'm not gonna name drop anybody, you know, but there's just so much anger in me for like the people that I'm around, you know, the voices that are in my head it's like my upbringing, the people I've encountered throughout my life, like telling me certain things, you know, like even if it's not like immediate family members, maybe it's like just the energy of people who don't make good decisions that like are blocking me from like even attempting to make a risky decision, because it's a risk. But like if it's a risk, there's more reward, right? And if we fail, then at least we learn. You know, look at Elon Musk when he crashed, you know, $4 billion worth of rockets or whatever. Like, did he quit? No, he flew one more and it succeeded. So you keep making, that's how artificial intelligence, that's like our best theory on how we learn, is by making mistakes. Mistakes are expensive, but if you look at the first law of thermodynamics, energy, it doesn't get destroyed, it only gets converted. So what are you afraid of? There's no loss. There's energy doesn't just like disappear into thin air. It gets converted into something else. So like if we lose something, we had to lose that in order to gain something else. Like this car, like I hope I keep it forever, but if it leaves my life, it's being the energy is being converted into something else that I need in order to move on. You know, I just happen to need this car right now. Like it's obviously attracted into my life for a certain reason. But I've had I've had plenty of money in my life where like it came and I was like, oh, this is great, and I was like, well, there it goes, because I need something else. And then you kind of just keep flipping it and flipping it and flipping it until you get to a certain point where you're just like, you know what, it doesn't even matter, because money comes and goes. And like, that's just a saying, and stupid people use that saying a lot without understanding what it actually means. But it means what I just explained. You're hopefully you're using it to convert the energy into something greater. And obviously, like, what does great even fucking mean? Like faster, like quicker time intervals between, wanting something and getting it. That's why delivery drones are a thing now. Like with Amazon, we want things quicker. We want to order something online and have it delivered to our door the same day. But yeah, I think that's kind of it. I just really want to emphasize how much I like despise, or like hate is a strong word, but I hate certain energies that exist in my life, that I'm like forced to make this YouTube channel. Like, I have to. I have no other choice but to vent here my frustrations that are like that just fucking exist. And I can't wait to post this, because like I know I'm going to get like some sort of like energy that helps me out. And I appreciate you for helping me out, for watching this far. And it's like I want to name drop the person or the people who are in my life who like make me feel this way, because their mental health is so deteriorated. Physically they might look healthy, but like they never talk about mental health. It's like that the vocabulary doesn't exist. They're like scared to talk about it. It's like they're embarrassed by it. They're so insecure by their own reality that they like ignore the topic. Like, why are you such a pussy about like a thing that why are you such a pussy about your fucking brain? Like, your brain exists. Like, just acknowledge it. And like, if there's something wrong, like there's something wrong. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. There's a lot of stigma behind schizoaffective disorder, but like, I'm saying I have it. I don't give a fuck. I'm proud that I'm like able to acknowledge it and I'm actually dealing with it. There's nothing wrong with like trying to be better and being like, you know what, I don't want schizoaffective disorder. Give me a medication, give me a treatment to get rid of it. So, and like, even if I have to take it daily, fuck it. Like, I'd rather not have that than like be happy and shit. So just like, I don't know, stop being a bitch. Go study. Go read a book about psychology or some shit. Like, deal with your traumas. And there's so many people in the world like that too. It's like where do you guys get off? Like, there's a song by Evanescence called Lithium, and there's a song called and then there's this part in the song that goes wanna stay in love with my sorrow. Oh, and that's literally what it is. They just want to stay in love with their sorrows. They're just in love with being sad and sorrow. And they just want to be fucking sad all the time. And they want to drag everybody else down with them. And I'm just like tired of trying to get away from it. Because every time I get away from it, I come back to it. And then it's just like, why the fuck aren't you, like, why am I the only one dealing with it? Why am I like, I get I'm an engineer, I'm a problem solver, but why aren't you guys at least like trying to solve the problem? Like, you guys aren't even like trying to try. You're not trying to try even. Like, I'm not saying I'm perfect or I'm like the smartest engineer out there, But at least I put myself into the shoes of an engineer and was like, oh shit, like I got punched in the face as soon as I put the shoes on, because that's what like life is. You just get constantly punched in the face if you make the wrong decisions. And as soon as you put those shoes on, it's like you can't make, you have to like do your best to not make bad decisions, because those shoes will be taken away from you, figuratively speaking. So yeah, thank you guys for letting me vent. This is gonna be the venting podcast. I should rename this to the venting podcast. Oh man, yeah, lurking. Oh man, the venting podcast. I should, yeah, the venting podcast. I like that a lot. Anyways, thanks guys for watching. It's been 40 minutes, so I appreciate you guys watching. I'm gonna upload this now. And yeah, I'll be back. I'll definitely be back to make more venting podcasts. This was a lot of fun, and it cheered me up and it made me feel better, and it really got my angers out there. And yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.